Swanville, Maine, the poisoning of Ruel Crockett. In the quiet town of Swanville, Maine, the fall of 1886 turned grim with whispers of poison, betrayal, and murder. At the center stood Ruel Crockett, a hard-working farmer in his 50s, an honest, industrious, hard-working man, as one neighbor described him. His life, already marked by hardship, had taken a darker turn after his second marriage. 4 years earlier, Ruel had married Martha Beaudoin, the widow of William Harvey. Martha was nearly 60 with grown children of her own, including a son, Albert Harvey, a man neighbors called a dissipated, shiftless fellow who neglected his wife and 3 children. Trouble brewed constantly in the Crockett household over Albert. Martha wanted Albert and his family to live with her, but Ruel refused. The bitterness between husband and wife boiled over. Their youngest daughter recalled how, just a week before his death, the couple disputed all day and night and a portion of the next day, and the quarrel ended with Martha shouting that she would kill her husband. It wasn't the first time calamity had struck the family. Only a year earlier, in 1885, Ruel had lost his newly built farm buildings to fire. There was no insurance, and suspicion quickly settled on Albert Harvey. As one paper noted, 1 year ago, some of Crockett's buildings were burned, and Harvey was supposed to have set them on fire. Thanksgiving Day, 1886, brought the family's troubles into the open again. Albert came home, but Ruel refused to let him stay. He left the next day and has not since returned, the Kennebec Journal reported. The very next day, Saturday, November 27th, Ruel came home from the woods at noon and sat down to dinner. Fried apples, brown bread, and potatoes. Soon after eating, he was seized with violent vomiting. He told his neighbor Wesley Peavy that the apples had tasted queer and made his mouth burn, creating a great thirst. Another witness, Charles Young, recalled how the following day Ruel said the apples gave him intense pain, and he died at noon in great suffering. Curiously, Martha did not eat the apples herself, nor would she allow Nellie, Ruel's youngest daughter, to have any. Even more suspicious, a calf that lapped up the contents of a vessel used by Ruel died immediately. Ruel's sudden death alarmed his family. His son-in-law, James B. Tracy of Enfield, pressed for an inquiry. Within weeks, his body was exhumed and taken to the home of neighbor Andrew J. Seekins, where Doctors Ellingwood and Johnson conducted an autopsy. The stomach, kidney, and liver were removed and sent to Professor Robinson in Brunswick. The result was conclusive. The organs were in a condition such as they would expect to find had a man died of arsenic poisoning. The case exploded across Maine newspapers. The Daily Sentinel ran the headline, "The Maine Poisoner. Arsenic and Paris green probably used." Martha was arrested and brought to trial in Belfast in January 1887. The courtroom was packed. Neighbors, daughters, doctors, and chemists testified against her. Joseph Small swore that he had once heard Martha rise angrily from the table and say of her husband, "He shall not live." His wife, Nellie Small, confirmed it. Daughters Susan and Nellie testified to repeated quarrels. Susan remembered her stepmother saying, "I'll fix him." The defense, led by Colas Fogler, countered that angry words in family quarrels did not equal murder. He insisted there was no proof Martha ever possessed arsenic. Martha herself took the stand, flatly denying every charge. "I never had any arsenic and never used any. I never had it in my possession. I denied all the testimony that I had threatened my husband. I never made such threats," she said firmly. She even claimed that she ate the apples herself and gave some to Nellie. But the evidence was overwhelming. Professor Robinson testified that the organs contained large portions of arsenic. Neighbor after neighbor recalled Ruel's dying complaints about the apples. The jury deliberated only a few hours before returning with the solemn verdict, guilty of murder in the first degree. Martha remained stoic in court, showing no emotion as the verdict was read. But back in her cell, the Republican Journal reported, she broke down and cried continuously. One haunting moment came just before the verdict, when she asked a deputy, "Has a woman ever been hanged in Maine? I could stand imprisonment for life, but I could not bear the thought of hanging." She was not hanged. In October 1887, Martha was sentenced to life imprisonment in the Maine State Prison. 4 years later, on November 29, 1891, the 5th anniversary of her husband's death, she dropped dead suddenly behind prison walls. Ironically, a movement for her pardon had just begun.